Gus, how would you assess the defensive secondary, particularly in the second half, where obviously you're trying to get everything to be underneath, but you don't want them to get hot either? So how did you think that balance was in the second half?
Right. I think we've got some work to do in all areas. I thought that there's times very disruptive with our D-line, the running game. I thought we did a really good job. And we did some good things in the pass game, but I don't think we tackled extremely well in the back end as well as we have been. It's not up to our standard. And the pass coverage, you're right. I think they had like 80 yards in passing the last, 15 plays or something. And some of that was due to my calls, keeping it in front of us. Like you said, we were back, not allowing a quick score. We were up by 2 scores. So, you can put that part on me. But there's some things we are challenging and some things that we want to see tighter coverage.
Yeah.
Guess how do you, as a coordinator, I guess it's situations, but when you situationally blitz, you had pretty good success. It looked like when you went after him. How often did you blitz, and how do you kind of pick your spots?
Right. I think that we felt like in that game, and especially on third down, if he was able to hold the ball for any length of time, that his success rate went up. And we felt like we did a good job with our pressuring from up front, but we felt like we wanted to make quicker decisions. We always have them up in the game plan. Just how much we utilize them is based on the game and how it's going and how well we're effectively rushing with 4.
Also, we talked with you and with Kenny Moore in the offseason about how this year he was looking to have a bounce back year, whatever. But he thought he would be more comfortable. He's making plays. Have you seen a difference in either how you use him, his approach, what?
Yeah, I think that, first of all, I think he is an extremely good corner in the NFL. We're very, very, very fortunate. I can't say that enough, how fortunate we are to have him in the game for us playing. Now, it might not look like to the eye, as far as sacks, interceptions, but some of the things that he does are real elite, playing on the perimeter, the disguising coverage, coming out of the coverage, making plays on the sweeps, making plays on the bubbles, big plays on third down, so he's playing extremely well for us right now. And that's what I told him. I said, when you're playing that well, good things are bound to happen. I mean, he went out for the first game, one play he went out, Tony Brown came in, got an interception. It's things like that. But he's playing really, really well for us right now. So we just got to keep him understanding that, last week we blitzed him. We came in the red zone. We brought pressure with him. So we're going to keep trying to utilize his skill set, but very appreciative of how he's playing right now.
Thanks, guys.
Nate?
Hey, Gus, how do you think Juju Brents is coming along, and what kind of things do you need to see out of him to maybe work into that outside corner rotation?
Right. He said he got more reps last week. I thought he had a good week of practice last week. And, that time that he was missing, but he's coming back. He's getting more reps in walkthrough, more reps in team. So he's progressing along nicely. So we hope to get him a few more reps this week.
JJ?
Gus, how have you seen the defensive line rush 4-1, as you've been rotating guys in and out throughout games?
It's, I think I mentioned this in training camp about the ability to have 8 or 9 guys that can rush, keep guys fresh, and apply that pressure. You're right, JJ. It's important. 4=1, and what better week to see that than this week? With a quarterback that can scramble and make plays. So, they're going to be tested up front. We are, I should say, up front with just our, keeping our lanes and things like that, and understanding the type of quarterback we're facing. But as an overall, when you look at it, I think they've done a good job really working together. They know when they can high rush. They know when they got a direct rush. They know when they've got to be a splitter. I think those concepts that they've really done a good job with.
Woody mentioned that it's just been more natural to get those just in year 2 of kind of playing in the scheme and playing together. What have you seen just in terms of guys being able to play off each other, and how do you learn how to play off each other as a pass rusher.
It is. I think the more and more reps, it's a little bit of a work in progress, JJ, right now. But, Sampson's new. We got some new guys that haven't worked together. So that takes a little bit of time. But I do think that, it is our vision of the front being disruptive and being disruptive is you're starting to be able to show clips on tape where you're saying that's what it looks like. And not showing other teams, you're starting to show us even more. And I think that's where we're pleased. We just got to keep that trending in the right direction.
Kent.
Hey, Gus, how key is it in your defense to have defensive tackles playing at the level that DeForest and Grover are, and especially against somebody like the Ravens?
Right. I think that we're asked that as far as, all right, what's most important? Is it the three technique? Is it the linebacker? Is it the corner? But when, the whole group up front is extremely important. I think a guy like Grover Stewart is, normally you don't say, hey, the first guy that we need in our defense is the nose. That's generally not what you say. But the way he's played the last couple of weeks, I don't know what it would be like without him. He has been disruptive up front versus the run. He got some pressure on the quarterback. So those two interior guys, Buck and Grove, are playing at a high level right now. And when that occurs, it gives you more flexibility in the back end.
Joel.
Gus, you've kind of been in Shane's shoes before and trying to establish your culture with the team. You and I have been around football long enough to know that coaches say a lot of the same things when it comes to establishing culture.
Right.
How do you make it yours? Like how do you make it yours and different and new?
Well, I think not speaking for anybody other than myself, I think the old adage, consistency creates credibility, I think is important. And that's what Shane's message is. It's been very consistent from day one he's gotten here all the way through. Win or loss, it's really about making sure this team gets better from the last week. And when you see a team get better, it makes the message even more powerful, because he's consistent and allows the players to kind of work in a consistent culture, atmosphere, and really put their focus in, game planning, execution, precision, things like that, rather than, well, I'm up and down and I don't know what I'm getting when I walk into this building. And so I think that's the part that I see in Shane. He's been very consistent, very credible with our players, and they're seeing the benefits of it.
Is it harder than it might seem from the outside to be consistent day in, day out?
Yeah, just speaking for myself. I think, sometimes I just didn't think, I thought at times we played really well last week. And then other times I didn't think we played as well as we needed. And the players are right with me. They see it. So yes, you're a little bit frustrated, but you won. You won. But I think, I've always talked to our group about victory. Victory is being the best that you can be. And even though we won, which is great, that's ideally what you're after. We're kind of shooting for something bigger is, can we be at our best? And we feel the byproduct will be winning. And I think that even though we won, which is great, I think that's what handles the ups and downs is that, then this group has completely talked to me about this, and that's their belief is that, we weren't as good as we wanted to be. There's a lot left out there and we got to go after it. So, it's kind of that approach. And, this group is a very mature group. I like our group because we've got some youth, but we got really good veteran presence that is leading our group through these trials of a 17-game season.
Kevin.
Gus, I know you were asked earlier about Juju Brents. Jalen Jones, I know, had a really good offseason for you. Do you view him as a guy that could push DJ at all for that third corner spot?
I think that you're right. I think that the thing with JJ is when he gets up and plays man coverage one-on-ones, he's very talented. And I think the knock on him before was his consistency on the perimeter. with all the different coverages that we do. I've seen him get a lot better in that. We're kind of in a good situation as far as the corner spot, just because we're young, but I really see those two younger guys coming on.
Two more, Raven.
Hey Gus, I know that it's still fairly early in the week, and I don't know how much film on Baltimore have you watched yet, but what are some differences that you've seen from Todd Monken's offense through the first two games and what you've seen from Greg Roman over the past few years?
It's a great question. I think that you see him going through his reads. He's a passer. He wants to pass. He's going through it, and if there's an open receiver, he's throwing it. Where I don't know in the past with, they had some design passes and it was all based off the run action. And, if the run action was there and it's a play pass, you're biting up, hit the open guy and let's go. I see it more like, no, he's going through his progression. It's, mixed in there, and he'll still run, and they have some design runs and he'll scramble, but there's more of an opened up style of offense, I would say.
And have you noticed any big changes in the run game? Because again, like you mentioned, under Roman, they ran the ball so much, but they still have a potent rushing attack. I believe rushing 178 yards this past week.
Yeah, I mean, both styles, and I say that from the heart. I think Greg Roman, we've gone against him a couple of years, and it's a very challenging offense. And I think this is a very challenging offense because the personnel, and they've schemed it a little bit differently. You see some things that are similar to what they've done in the past, but it feels like they've opened it up a little bit more. And it's been successful for them.
And just last question for me. And as good as their run offense is, the run defense for the Colts have been pretty great. Top ranked run defense according to PFF. So how do you feel like you guys, game plan, because they're going to run the ball. They're not going to just abandon it if it doesn't work. How do you prepare for that and make sure your defense is ready to go?
Well, I mean, every week is different, right? There's different schemes. There's different things that we need to do to stop the run. One week it's the edges. The other week it's, maybe the quarterback run game, different aspects of it. So this will be another challenging week for us because of the different schemes that we haven't seen up to this point. So even though we've been pretty good against the run the past 2 weeks, I mean, that will be put to test this week.
James?
Just one quick one. I know you mentioned Lamar. He's developed more, obviously, as a passer in the NFL. I think he's put that whole thing to bed about, being a runner or whatever. But when he does run, what makes him unique compared to other quarterbacks who are mobile and, just being out there in space?
Right. He can get out of trouble. He keeps his eyes downfield. So there's always a threat that, once he gets away from pressure, that he does look for the big play. But his speed, his quickness, his athleticism, I think that's what makes him so unique in terms of the run. I mean, he can accelerate and get from 0 to 60 real fast. And, he makes people miss. I think he makes wise decisions. I'm sure they're probably looking at it and saying he's running about the right amount of time. If, teams are turning their back on him and playing man coverage, and he feels everybody leaving the box, then he's going to take advantage of it. But I do think it's, more of a pass first mentality.